Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Tonight, the real headline is bigger than a terror plot. Yes, the FBI says it disrupted an alleged drone and sniper attack tied to the White House UFC Freedom 250 event. Yes, suspects are in custody, but the deeper story is this. America 250 is now crossed into national security territory. See, this was not just a fight night. It was a symbolic American event tied to President Trump, the White House, and a mass patriotic celebration so consequential that federal agents treated it like a counter-terror priority. And that should stop every viewer in their tracks. So what exactly were they trying to hit? The venue, the crowd, or the idea behind it? Now, according to multiple reports, investigators say the alleged plan involved explosive-laden drones striking nearby buildings to trigger confusion and mass evacuation. Then, as frightened attendees moved, a pre-staged sniper team would allegedly open fire. And that's not random violence, that is psychological warfare aimed at panic, movement, and spectacle. And that's why the story matters far beyond one event. The target, if these allegations hold, was not simply the UFC. The target was the White House setting, the America 250 celebration, the symbolism of a huge public gathering, and the patriotic energy surrounding President Trump's vision of a proud national birthday. In other words, this was an attempt to turn a unifying American spectacle into a scene of chaos. And here's the part that corporate media will glide past. Once an event draws this kind of hostile attention, it means it has become nationally meaningful. America 250 is no longer just a commemoration under the Trump administration. It has become a symbol worth defending, and apparently in the eyes of enemies, worth attacking. And before we go further with all of the details, when stories like this remind you how much stress people carry every day, it also reminds you to take care of your own home and your health. Now, you've probably seen the clip, Joe Rogan sitting with Mel Gibson talking about people close to him who went through serious health struggles and then saw dramatic turnarounds. Rogan brings up light-based therapies and how they impact the body at a cellular level. Gibson says it's straight, this stuff works. And that got my attention because in my own life, I watched something very similar unfold. For a long time, my wife was dealing with constant discomfort and anxiety. It was one of those battles that drains a family quietly. Then I came across Jonathan Otto and red light therapy and it opened my eyes. If you want to learn more, go to myredlight.com. Use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. It is certainly worth taking a look at. Now back to the bombshell details that show just how serious this operation really was. Now here's the twist that changes everything. The case may have started not with some massive surveillance breakthrough, but with a mother who saw warning signs in her 19-year-old son's behavior and made the call. From there, investigators reportedly uncovered signal chats, travel plans, weapons purchases, and alleged reconnaissance connected to a wider network stretching across multiple states. Think about that. A patriotic event at the White House, an America 250 crowd, and a plot pieced together from digital breadcrumbs and one family's alarm. And that's where this moves from a headline into a national wake-up call. Fox News had this to say: 3 suspects identified in a plot to target the White House UFC event. Bryan Omar Roa, Michael Allen Thomas arrested in California, charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Tycen Proper arrested in Ohio. So it was never just about a fight card. ABC takes us where the real story goes next. The FBI says the White House America 250 event drew an alleged explosive drone plot. The FBI disrupted the alleged plot targeting UFC Freedom 250 fight at the White House with explosive drones, according to multiple sources. An explosive drone plot. So the jump from celebration to the federal terror investigation. Polymarket adds the scope: 5 suspects in custody, 18 others reportedly still at large. FBI makes the announcement it busted a massive drone terror plot targeting White House UFC event, 5 suspects in custody. And that's where this gets even darker. MJ Truth Ultra lays out the alleged playbook: drones to trigger panic, then a sniper team waiting for the crowd. Oh my lord. Terror plot. One suspect said the goal was to target billionaires and APAC recipients. Explosive-laden drones were planted to strike buildings near the event to spark mass panic and force crowd evacuation. Fleeing attendees would then be directed towards pre-staged sniper teams to shoot people as they ran. There was reportedly a possible second wave where attackers would storm the White House gates amid the chaos. The FBI learned of the threat on June 10th of this year through signal chat messages. Investigators identified 23 people involved in discussions about the plot from analysis of one suspect's phone and related communications. An initial arrest was made in Cincinnati, Ohio via a search warrant. Multiple additional suspects taken into custody. Reports indicate at least 5 in total. As of June 16th, some suspects had traveled to Fredericksburg, Virginia for final preparations. Here's some news as it was breaking.
News out of Washington, D.C. on a potential tragedy that's been averted. The FBI revealing earlier today it foiled an alleged terror plot that was set to target Sunday night's UFC Freedom event at the White House.
Officials say nearly 24 plotters were identified. They have 5 people in custody. The alleged plan featured explosive-packed drones hitting buildings near the event.
Then we are told they would steer the crowds toward a sniper team in waiting, ready to pick people off.
David Spunt is live in D.C. with the latest. David, this news just breaking. What do you know?
Well, I've reached out to several sources, and I'm awaiting some more details, Dana, on names and specific charges. We're told we will get some more information as the day unfolds. This involves nearly 24 people as part of this potential network, according to authorities, and details were uncovered on an app called Signal, which is an encrypted chat app. 5 are in custody. Fox Digital reporting investigators have 23 people on a list as part of this potential network of alleged plotters. Investigators tell Fox the plan was to use drones with explosives to hit buildings near the White House, which would force a mass evacuation and steer crowds toward a pre-staged sniper team. A, quote, second wave was allegedly planning to storm the White House.
So what you just heard wasn't about sports at all. It was about turning a patriotic gathering into chaos. Now, FBI disrupts terroristic drone sniper attack plot. Officials say the plan involved using drones to create panic, followed by sniper. Here's more from Todd Piro.
Just into the Fox newsroom, the FBI disrupting this alleged plot targeting the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House. Officials telling Fox a network of nearly 24 potential plotters were identified, with at least 5 people in custody right now. The suspects allegedly traveled to Fredericksburg, Virginia to make final preparations for the attack. And the alleged plan allegedly included explosive-packed drones hitting buildings near the event, forcing a mass evacuation, and then steering crowds, get this, toward a pre-staged sniper team. A second wave was then planned to storm the White House gate. The FBI first learned of the threat on June 10th and worked with law enforcement across multiple states to stop it. FBI Director Kash Patel saying, quote, "We are built to detect, respond to, and bring to justice those who threaten the lives of American citizens, particularly during large gatherings like the historic UFC 250 fight." That's exactly what we did here. Over 4,300 people were in attendance for UFC 250, which included 1,200 service members. Luckily, nobody was harmed during the FBI's takedown. The event went off without a hitch. Much more on this in the coming minutes, hours, days, and of course.
So the event still went on, but under the shadow of what authorities say was a multi-phase terror plan. Gunter Eagleman zeroes in on who the crowd really was. Trump supporters and America 250 patriots packed around the White House. FBI thwarts major terror plot targeting Trump supporters at White House. Explosive-laden drones, pre-staged snipers aimed at 80,000 Trump fans and UFC crowd on the ellipse during the celebration. Create chaos, force deadly evacuation, maximize casualties. Thank God Director Patel caught this on signal chats before it happened. This was no lone wolf. It was a well-planned attack on the president's supporters. Here's more. Jonathan Turley calls it a cautionary tale.
Right now, the White House would not have been the target. It would have been the supporters of the president. White House has extremely great drone technology. Sometimes you'll see some of the agents with these, what looks like heavy guns, but they're to essentially jam the signal of these drones. And with them saying in the documents that the FBI is releasing to our newsroom that they have a station team, which is essentially have crowds of people rush toward an area and then those snipers hit them. That tells you those were the target of Trump supporters, the UFC crowd, that fan fest that was outside of the White House.
It drew about
Incredible.
80,000 people. So a lot at stake here. Thank the good Lord the FBI was able to thwart this before the event happened. We're learning about it, obviously, after the fact so that people who attended wouldn't be scared. But they uncovered this on Signal chats, multiple people allegedly discussing this attack at the UFC event. The investigation stretched across at least 12 FBI field offices. The goal was to target capitalist elites, billionaires, politicians who received donations from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
Yeah, and good on Director Patel. The points you made there, Ainsley, about this stretching across 12 FBI field offices means they're one team working together. But it is a sobering morning we are waking up to this, because we have not seen, but yet long feared, to your point, Lawrence, that there would be explosive-laden drones tried to use an attack. This alleged plot was going to create this mass chaos evacuation of those 80,000 people, and they had enough people involved that this was going to be a very deadly incident. Where have we seen explosive-laden drones? In places like Ukraine, on the battlefield. The fact that it could possibly come here makes a strong case for the president and for any law enforcement official to say that we need to up this drone deterrence technology, and we need to do it fast.
Now, when I was at the White House just this past weekend, I was at the Hotel Washington at the UFC lounge on the top floor, where you could easily overlook the entire venue. You could overlook the White House, the claw, the ellipse. And if you were following me on social media, you probably saw some of the videos that I was posting that were showing what looked like security, clearly security on top of, I believe it was the Treasury building, and they were launching drones themselves, clearly in surveillance capacity. But it's terrifying to consider what could have happened and which buildings that they would have targeted to cause these mass evacuations and all this chaos. Thankfully, this did not happen. So the target, not necessarily Octagon, it was the people and the symbolism around it, even Elon Musk reacting, saying this is crazy. So when even Elon Musk is saying it's crazy, you know the story's broken wide open. Next comes one of the names at the center of it, Ohio suspect Tycen Proper, now under arrest. Allegedly plotting the terror attack. Investigators see plan to use explosive-laden drones against nearby buildings and multiple suspects. So here is one of the mugshots. So we move from the big national headline to the individual face in custody. Trump Daily Post shifts to another alleged organizer out of California. Affidavit says rifles and ammo were recovered. California man busted as alleged organizer of UFC White House terror plot, spawning leftist and doomer conspiracies about elites eating kids and Epstein ties. Rifles and ammo recovered, more terrorists created by leftist and doomer rhetoric. I think we have the imagery here. Okay, yes. This is some of the imagery from the Signal chats that has now been released. Let me see if I can make it a little bit larger for you here. You can see position your teams in the purple dots, counter sniper and drones, long range, circled area, easy way out. I mean, they had it mapped out and ready to go. The evacuation routes where they would get picked up. They have some Signal chat handles, read the docs for mission briefing, sniper positions. Unbelievable. Here's some of the visuals of what was recovered. The Knox County Sheriff's Office took photos of the equipment acquired by Proper, which included several boxes of ammunition, estimated by law enforcement to be in the thousands of rounds, 2 plate carriers with AR-style magazines, AR-style rifle, and a bullpup rifle painted with an American flag. So you can see some of the hardware that these guys were ready to deploy. The equipment was turned over voluntarily by the family to law enforcement. So the California arrest raises the obvious question, how did investigators crack this network in the first place? Bill Malugin has the key detail. First alarm reportedly came from Proper's own mother. Feds say Proper's mother made the initial call to police when she became concerned about his activities when the wider web plot was uncovered. On or about June 10th at approximately 9:18 p.m., officers with the Knox County Sheriff's Office and Danville Police were dispatched to an address in Knox County in reference to a disturbance. The caller, identified as Proper's mother, was concerned about her son, identified as Proper due to his recent conduct, including firearms purchases and communicating with certain individuals online. Officers arrived at the scene 9:38, spoke to Proper and his mother and father. Proper is a 19-year-old male, lives at the residence with his parents. Proper's father said that Proper had recently met random people online and had been planning recons with these individuals. His father said Proper had been planning to leave this upcoming weekend, the weekend of June 13th, 2026, to meet up with those individuals online. His father further stated that Proper had also recently acquired camping gear, food, ballistic plates, a new shotgun, a rifle, lots of ammunition, extra magazines, and plate carriers. So that is from the charging documents, it appears. So the Kash Patel did post on X that the law enforcement partners became aware of the threat on June 10th. Wow. Threat to the UFC America 250 event in Washington, involving individuals outside the national campaign capital region. Thanks to rapid action of the FBI and DOJ, multi-state operation, multiple individuals are now in custody. President Trump was asked about it at the G7.
Briefed on the attack plans for the UFC event at the White House. The FBI thwarted an attack.
I haven't heard about it, no. But I watched, the attack that I watched were the fighters. And he saw it too, by the way. He was sitting back home in his beautiful palace and he was watching it. And they were as good a fights as I've ever seen, right?
The best fight.
The best. They were. That last fight was brutal. Wow. And the two last, all of the fights were good.
The two fights.
It was all good. It was a great evening. It was very different for the White House, but I wish you could have been there. We built an incredible arena.
Wow. So President Trump weighing in that he was not briefed. Patel says the attacks were stopped cold, and that's the law enforcement side of it. Pulse Millennial takes us into the motive with investigators talking about the so-called capitalist elites and AIPAC-linked politicians.
It's still under investigation, but one suspect allegedly told investigators that the goal was to target capitalist elites, billionaires, or politicians who received donations from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
So motive has now entered the picture. The political fight starts fast. Doherty closes the loop with court images and chat screenshots and the mother who helped blow the thing wide open.
The first image, I believe, that we're going to show is a rifle that belonged to her son, according to authorities. The other is a screen grab, several screen grabs showing aerial images and maps of the Washington, D.C. area and discussing where snipers possibly would be related to the White House. This is all evidence that is posted on an official court docket right now, an official government document. But I will say 19-year-old Tycen Proper's mother called police after she was concerned about his purchases and communications with people online. It then led them to conversations that he allegedly had with someone named Bryan Roa and Michael Thomas in Southern California. They appeared yesterday before a federal judge. We're also told that there is a suspect in Nebraska and one in Missouri as well. So what we're being told here, Kaylee and everyone on the couch, is that this alleged plot consisted of a plan to have drones that were actually armed with some type of firepower go and attack buildings around the White House. And once people left, they were going to have snipers nearby attacking some of the people leaving. This was a serious plot. The FBI, the Secret Service investigating this right now. And as you heard, the deputy director of the Secret Service right there say that they believe there are more people out there. Right now, though, 5 people facing these charges. And it's incredible to go through these documents and see what happened. But it appears that it was this 19-year-old's mother in Ohio who really spilled the beans on this entire case by letting people know that she had some concerns about her son, Kaylee.
Thank goodness that mom did that. And that 19-year-old is the one I mentioned who was alleged to use his graduation money to purchase these weapons. Wow, David, thank you for this update.
Thanks, Kaylee.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The mother turning in her own son. That's where we are right now. So what does it all really mean? It means America 250 has graduated in something much larger than a celebration. First came restoration projects and cultural events and mass participation. Now security significance. That's the arc. The Trump administration wanted this anniversary to feel proud and visible and unmistakably American. Mission accomplished. And with that success comes attention from supporters, from the press, from political enemies, and of course from violent actors who wanted to shatter the moment through fear. UFC branding wasn't just the wrapper. The true target was symbolism, the White House, the crowd, the patriotic energy, and the sense that America under Trump is confident again. When federal authorities mobilize across states to defend an event like that, it tells you America 250 has become a national symbol in real time. So thank God for the agents, the local officers, and federal partners who move fast. Thank God a mother spoke up, and thank God this alleged nightmare was stopped before innocent Americans, Trump supporters, families, fighters, staff, and guests were caught in the engineered chaos. But let's be honest, the next fight starts now. Not just over security, but over the culture that keeps demonizing patriotic Americans, inflaming class hatred, and acting shock when unstable people turn rhetoric into operational plans. The left can dismiss that all it wants. Normal Americans see the pattern. The Trump administration is proving that America 250 is not some empty slogan. It's becoming a living national project big enough to inspire pride, participation, and now the full attention of law enforcement. If you believe that President Trump was right to make America 250 bold, visible, and unapologetically patriotic, share this report. Subscribe and sound off below. Yes or no? Should America 250 events now receive full enhanced federal security from this point forward? I want to hear from you. But I also want to make sure that you get the news that you depend on. Thousands of patriots have already done so. They've already texted the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. They're getting the news when YouTube decides to not share us in the algorithm or not send you notifications. So make sure you do that and stay plugged in with us here. But since we're talking about America 250, yes, it's a scary event that these people want to attack, but it's also time to celebrate. Make sure you find some gear from the Next News merch shelf below this video or go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.